So this is my electrical van. I finally fitted out my own van the way I wanted to. I did that a year and a half ago when I started my business, and I haven't had time to record a video showing it off yet. I've recorded some B-roll, which you'll probably be looking at, of showing how I built it. So the original idea was to have everything I needed below this level and have this level up here for extra things. Normally I have a 4-step ladder down there, but what ended up happening is I just filled up the top level too. I figured out that I could have a magical shipping container next to me at every job and it would still be full. So but I was able to fit a lot of gear in, which means I can turn up to most jobs and get the job done with what I've got out of the van. We're on a bit of a hill, so it's a little bit of work to pull these drawers out, but I got this tool case after the fact, but it just so happens that it fits in here neatly. And Milwaukee's so cool that you can have it, yeah, fit it out there a little bit too. You can have it lock just by opening the handle, so I don't have to use the latches, which if I had to use the latches, then I wouldn't be able to open it when it's in there. So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, I got my tool backpack up there with the screw organizer, and that's just held in place with a bungee. I normally have a socket set back there, but I'm currently moving into another van because I got someone new coming on board. So I've got it out at the moment. And all these screw organizers probably a bit over the top. And then normally there's power tools in here and fit in here. I've put things I don't use very often all the way back there. And then that one's also things I don't use very often, but stuff I still need. So I've got all sorts of power points. These are cool corrugated mounting block. Use them for tiny houses, since these days all the tiny houses seem to be corrugated iron cladding. I added this more recently, maybe 4 months ago, and that was cool, getting all these tools easily accessible and not taking up space in the drawers. Previously I had a lot of that stuff in here, and that got a bit out of hand. I used to do a lot of commercial maintenance, so I created these spaces here for putting 5-foot tubes, and there's other ones for 4-foot tubes, and 5-foot and 4-foot light fittings. But I haven't been doing so much of that work, but I got a good collection of light fittings. Down here I fit button fittings, and I've got some sensors. About these drawers, which is cool, is even if you're on a really steep hill, because there's a bit of a gap in there, the further out it comes, the more pressure it has going up. And so I could be on a really steep hill and this wouldn't slide any further than I pulled it. The exception is if it's on a really steep hill, it'll slide out a certain distance. But I was worried when I built these that they weren't going to be slidey enough, and I'd be better off with a proper rolling drawer with ball bearings. But these have turned out to be really handy for hills and whatnot. My apprentice has one of those big slidey drawers in his work van, and he always complains when it's on a hill it's too much weight. But he's got a big wide one too, so it's a lot more weight than these ones have. And then coming around this side, this one was an afterthought. That was sort of an awkward space created by the rest of the design, because the ladders were designed to go in there and then everything was worked around the ladders. But it's turned out to be quite good for cable storage. It doesn't fit the drums. That's the way they should fit. Some brands of drums will fit in there, but they're too short, but too tall. But they just go sideways and that works. And this, only one brand of coax cable fits in here nicely, but it fits in there really neat. And then this was originally going to be for 2-foot tubes and 2-foot light fittings. I've ended up using it for ventilation bits and pieces, but I have got some short fittings in there. Always good to have wipes. Data cable is kind of annoying to carry because it takes up so much space, but there's too many times when you need it when you weren't expecting to, so I just carry it. And then this is an arrangement I've had for a while. I probably don't need this many tubes of silicone, but I stack up my normal 90mm downlights and then have the surface sockets all here, and I can fit a good number of them in there. And then I've got obscure light fittings down here, like Voltex has this really cool light fitting So this one, yeah, ultra thin. So if you hit a beam, you can put one of these in instead of having to cut the beam out. And sometimes it's like the steel beam for the fire extinguisher and you can't cut it out. So, and then the front's not very exciting. Hot water cylinder wrench, random thing shoved behind the seat. Another thing I keep in the door there is a packet of disposable spoons. This is for that odd occasion where I forget to pack a spoon with my lunch. Those lights are cool. I just wired it into there, and I think I just twisted them around the terminals inside. Bit of 12-volt LED strip does the job. So this is more of the same. I've actually got a pack-out crate that I have on there that I use for rubbish, which is quite handy. And when I want to tip it out, I just take it out and empty it. I've started keeping the long rigid pieces of heat shrink there. More light fittings back here, like the odd security light and stuff. Keep long things down there. I think that was created for the 4-foot fittings. Got some 4-foot tubes there. And then I do a lot of work for tiny houses, and there's a trailer park, and these kinds of things often melt. So I just keep those in here. And yeah, that's where I keep light bulbs. All sorts of random bits and pieces. These are great for driving in earth rods. I've got a big concrete drill for it. Hole saws. Fit some power tools down there. Hot water bits and pieces. I think I didn't show the straw from the other side. Let's go do that. Oh yeah, and these are good for, I keep my conduit pieces. So lots of little jobs where I need conduit, I won't have to go to the supplier. And then random light fittings, my heat gun. Some breakers up there that I don't really use much of because I have another place where I keep more breakers. Yeah, so this is the same drawer from the other side. Didn't even realize those were there. I think I looked for them a while ago and couldn't find them. But yeah, here's where I keep circuit breakers. So I usually just keep what I need. So if I'm at a small job, if I'm doing a switchboard upgrade, it's already here. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, down here, that's how I store my heat shrink in a bag. That collection started in like 2016, still going. Fuses, a bit of PPE, yeah. So yeah, that's the van fit out. I'm about to fit out another one. I've got another van that I've purchased that I've came with a fit out already, which I'm going to kind of use until I have time to do a proper fit out. I forgot to show this part before. This is my Flashbox storage. When I need to get some out, I just hook that off. They slide off the end. Also got this cable rod storage that I made. Slides back there, and then that piece of wood stops it from sliding around. It doesn't move at all. Those bits of metal up there are a little bend a little bit so it can come in and out. Alright, that was the van tour section of the video. Now we're going to go into how the van fit out was done. I've got a bunch of footage that I recorded while I was doing the fit out, and I'll give some comments of how it was done over the top. This is probably also a good time to introduce myself. My name's Alex Gallagher. I live in Auckland and I run a business called Legacy Electrical. Also make YouTube videos in my free time, which I do not have much of. So here I am putting in, I guess you could call this a bulkhead. This is what I screwed a lot of the structure to. The reason why I used full-length ply rather than just putting a few pieces in where I needed a structure was to have less airflow going to the back, so the front cabin was a bit easier to cool and heat. Sometimes I've had vans with very small engines, and on a cold morning it takes a long time to heat up the entire van space. Now I'm putting in the structure around the ladders. So The first thing was putting the ladders in. They go at the bottom and they have a very specific shape, and they're quite large, so I wanted to get those in and then figure out where to go from there. You know, obviously they can go on the roof, but it's a hassle getting a ladder on and off a roof every day. Could be 5 times a day, could be 8 times a day, going to different jobs all day long, and so it's just better having it inside. They also last longer, the fiberglass ladders. If you leave them on the roof, the UV from the sun breaks down the coating they have, and then the fibers, the fiberglass, starts damaging your skin when you carry the ladder around. Okay, so this bit was very time consuming. I'd never done this type of, cutting out the plywood to be shaped like the wheel arches before. Builders do this kind of thing all the time, and I'm sure they would have done it way quicker than me, but you can see it actually got dark while I was doing this. I've sped it up 30 times. Other bits I've sped up 9 times. There's a few different ways of doing this kind of thing. Obviously what I was trying to do is get the plywood cut to the right shape for the van. I chose this way. Other ways may have been faster, but I thought this way was bound to work because you're creating a template. So you can see what I've done there. I've taped some cardboard to a piece of plywood, which I then used as a template to trace around my sheet of ply and then cut it out with a jigsaw. Another trick I did to make this project work is because of these, it's 18mm ply, it's quite hard to lift on your own, so I was screwing just a little square piece of 2x4 to the top center of a sheet so I had something to get my arm under so I could lift it. You can see here I'm removing it after I've chopped the sheet down, ready to cut. So unfortunately that was about the end of the footage I got while I was making it. It's hard enough finding time to make it when this was made during lockdown, August I think it was, 2021. But we had, at the time, I guess they would have been 2 or 3 and 6. So they were a handful. That was basically full-time job entertaining the kids during lockdown. So it was real tricky getting time to even do the van fit out, let alone record it. And of course, I'd never done anything like this before. I'm an electrician by trade. This is testing my building skills. I really enjoyed doing it though. It was challenging, and I got the van super functional this way. So I've been meaning to make this video basically since I did the van fit out, which was over 1.5 years ago, but I've been busy and have not had time. So, well, I didn't want to make the video till I recorded the van tour, and I had to have the van tidy to do that. And one time I was going to record it and I tidied the van and then I got a call out. So here it is. I finally got this video done. I've got plenty of other video ideas, so if you want to see more things like this, be sure to subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm about to fit out another van. Maybe you can give me ideas for that one, and I'll see you on the next one.